All right, everybody. Hi, Coach Jennie here. I am like a little geeky child because I have the world's future Oprah that I get to interview today. This is very exciting to me. That probably means nothing to you all out there, but that's okay. Inside jokes matter. This is the fabulous Desiree Wolfe, and I'm going to let her introduce herself in a moment. But today, this interview series that I am doing right now is about talking to the people that I work with so that you can have a sense of their experiences in working with me, see what they've been able to do about their inner talk. And Desiree was so excited. I'm so excited. I'm like a child. Desiree was so gracious and said, oh my gosh, I would love to tell your audience about her experiences. So Desiree, tell everybody who you are and a little bit about what you do.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. I'm so excited to be the next Oprah. My name is Desiree Wolfe, and I'm sort of a serial entrepreneur, which is a phrase that I absolutely used to loathe until I realized that I have lots of passions and my desire is to go after all of them. So I'm a former business coach. I'm an up-and-coming podcast host for a brand new podcast that I will be launching within the next few weeks, if all goes as planned. I'm an advocate for the direct sales industry, and even bigger, I'm an advocate for women starting their own home-based business. That is a huge passion of mine. It's one thing that I talk about all the time. Encouraging and inspiring women to go after their dreams is my big passion. So I'm excited to be here and talk about some of the things that you have helped me get through.
Well, thank you. I'm super excited. I want to talk all about you, but this is quirky because I'm not going to talk about what you do and what you could do for others. We're just going to talk about what you are experiencing and what you've done to change who you are. So it's going to be a little personal today, a little different than how we usually roll, right? So one of the things that I love about you, I can't believe I'm saying this live, but you are my self-identified stalker.
Yeah, baby.
So, like there are different levels of success in this influencer industry, but when you have somebody who tells you I'm your stalker and I stalk you wherever you go, it's pretty wonderful. Why on earth did you decide to describe yourself as a Coach Jennie stalker?
Oh my gosh, Coach Jennie Stalker is a title that I wear very proudly on my heart and my sleeve, and I'll tell anybody about you. So, I stumbled across you purely by accident, and this is going to now date us in the online world when I say that I found you on a Blab one day. I was cruising through Blab in the very beginning days. I was like, I'm going to go check this out. I want to be a Blabber. And there you were chatting away, and I was just, the things you were saying just had me felt like, oh my gosh, this woman is in my head, and I've only known her for 30 seconds, and she doesn't even know that I'm here. So it's just, there were a lot of things that you said that really resonated with how I was feeling, but was afraid to say them. Yeah. And primarily I'll tell everybody, I came from, I got my start following kind of the woo side of coaching. And I was very much in love with the idea of listening to the universe and all of these kinds of things that if you think about it, it will manifest and all of this. The trouble that I was having is I was in this world for many, many years and I wasn't getting the result that all these other people were talking about. And the worst thing that could happen is I started to think, it's me. My manifesting machine is broken. There's something wrong with me. And in that very first Blab that I watched, you said, there's a problem with all of these people thinking that if they just think about it, then success is going to come. And I was like, oh, that's me. And I was like, it's not me. It's the problem that I'm relying on the universe to bring me what I want. Yeah. And by you saying that, I was like, I'm not broken. And it was immediately you kind of giving me permission to not have to listen to the universe anymore. And I was like, I've got to hear what this woman has to say. And so I started to tune in. I think it was almost every day there was a Blab, and I was, even on the Blab about nothing, I was intrigued with what you had to say. And I just really felt like I resonated with your kind of breaking the rules of how to be successful in business. And it was very eye-opening for me.
I love that story. It's you're not broken. And I'm not a woo-woo person. I'm not anti-woo-woo, but it's not my thing. But because of that, I feel like I can say what a lot of people are thinking, because a lot of people lean into that woo-woo mindset of, well, if I think about it, I have positive thoughts, I put the right vibrations out into the universe, then it's going to manifest what I want. And if it doesn't, it's my fault. I don't want it enough. It must be something about my manifesting vibrational abilities that's screwing this up. Instead of, what if that's not the problem at all? What if we're distracting ourselves with this manifesting nonsense and all of this? Sorry, I shouldn't go that far, but whatever. Sorry, not sorry. What if we're distracting us with all of this, this headspace, and that's actually what's holding us back and hurting us the most? So I'm so glad that spoke to you. Now, what I want to know is how you went from passive stalker to pretty active participant in my world to, okay, I'm ready to hire Coach Jennie. I'm ready to get shoved. What was the breaking point or the moment where you said, okay, it's time to hire you?
Well, you know what's funny is that transition period came from, you had actually reached out to me. It was you and Miss Karen. I had posted a rant on my Facebook page, and Karen had actually suggested we should do a blab about this. And we both tagged you almost immediately, like Jennie's got to join us. It's going to be this is a Coach Jennie topic. And we were in the middle of our show, and I kept saying something that really irritated you. And I could tell, and I kept saying, well, but I'm not a coach. I'm not a coach. And you almost stopped dead in your tracks after, I think, the third time I said it. And you go, Desiree, stop saying that, because you are a coach. What you're doing is coaching, and you have the skills and the talent to do it. I just went, what? And it was kind of like she just shoved me. And that was my first taste of a Jennie shove. And I got off of that call thinking, you know what? I think I've been using that I'm not a coach as a protective layer of not having to act like a coach, of not having to step into it. And it was then that I realized, you know what? I think I need some more Coach Jennie in my life, because I'm playing small by kind of saying I'm not a coach, I'm not a coach. And so that's when I realized I've got to do something.
Well, and that's what's so key here. You know, being a stalker, like we poke fun and it's a lot of fun, but you were being a student of entrepreneurship at that point, a student of coaching. And you hadn't really leaned in and just decided to claim that you are a coach. You're waiting for somebody to roll out the red carpet or send you your certificate in mail or whatever it is, like an invitation to be part of our fabulous club of coaches. It's not a thing, right? You had to decide, okay, I am now going to purport myself as this and show up in that way, do the work that I need to master the skill, but, you know, really own coaching. And you were already doing it. That's what's so funny.
I was. And you put it exactly perfectly. I was waiting for the red carpet, like, welcome to the elite club of coaches. And I just never felt like, until that was going to happen, I never felt like I was ready or worthy of that happening.
Yeah. I wonder how many people are out there that are listening to this video thinking the same thing about whatever it is they do. You know, I want to be a this. I plan to be a that. I'm working towards becoming a this. I'm working on my certification of the blah, 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 so that I can one day too call myself that a thing. Now, I'm not saying just do anything without any expertise, but certainly it's a way that Hilda, that voice in our head who tells us we suck, can hold us back. And she can say, well, you're not good enough for this. Who do you think you are? Why do you think that you get to claim this? You have to wait for that invitation. I am so excited that I very accidentally gave you that invitation. Here's your red carpet. I will give it to you in the form of a shove.
Yes, and it was a beautiful shove. I cried. That was my first Coach Jennie crying experience. Not the last, but...
Yes, okay, we have to talk about that because this comes up a lot. I have a tendency to have people cry in my presence. I want to be really clear that I'm quite lovely. Why do you think that, so I make jokes, but why do you think it is that people cry when coaching with me and working with me or my program?
Well, you know, you have a very good skill of getting to the bottom of what people are really feeling. I can BS with the best of them. I paid thousands of dollars for coaches that I BS'd my way through their program because I know what to say to make them think that what they're doing is working, if that makes sense.
Wow, that's huge. Nobody ever admits that. Did you guys hear that? That's amazing. Go ahead.
You had a way of kind of, not necessarily, I don't want to say you called me out on my BS, but you got to the point that you dug deeper than my BS level. And that's what brought me to tears was, oh my gosh, you didn't buy it. And it was very clear that you didn't buy it. You're like, I don't think that's it. And I was like, oh yeah, it is. You're like, and you didn't even say anything on our very first call. The first time I started crying, you just said, I don't think that's it. And I went, yeah, it is. And I almost threw like a little temper tantrum, and you just you just dished it right back in a way that made me look past the BS that I was giving you.
Right. Because your job is not to impress the coach. Your job is not to make me look good. Your job is not to say the thing you think I want to hear. I don't know where that comes from. I think it might be another Hildaism, right? Of like, well, I paid all this money. In order to be successful, I have to walk the walk. I have to talk the talk. I have to say the right things. Or otherwise, why did I make this investment? And so then we start half-assing our way through it. And you don't get as much out of it. I don't want to work with people in that way. The other thing I want to be really clear for everybody that's watching this is I give cathartic shoves. Everybody just shortens it to shoves, but I want to be clear. The point of these shoves, of being that direct and that forceful, is I want you to have that tearful moment that feels cathartic. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm really facing this truth about myself. I'm really facing this habit. I'm facing this lip service that I'm playing, and now I'm ready to do something about it. That act of getting that clarity, but taking that responsibility, it brings up a few tears, and they're usually pretty cathartic.
Yeah. So and that's true too, because I don't want people to think that your shoves are they're painful in a way that we have to now deal with it, but they're not abusive.
Right.
I've had an abusive coach who thought she was shoving, and really I felt beat up after every single one of our calls. And that's not how I felt working with you. I felt shoved, but also gained clarity from it as well.
Yeah. The shove is to move you forward before you're ready. That's why I use that word. It's to push you forward before you're ready. It's not just to push you outside your comfort zone like you're supposed to say in coaching, right? It's actually about readiness. Right? All of us feel like, well, I'm not quite ready. I'm still hanging on to my excuses. I don't have it together yet. It's about pushing you past that. And that takes a little more of a force than a little nudge. So that's what that's about. So thank you for that. And you're right. It's never abusive. One of the things that I pride myself in is being one of the most encouraging coaches out there. And I know what you're talking about with those abusive coaches who are like, well, if you're just not going to do it my way, I don't know what to do with you. That is not at all what I'm looking to do or what I ever do. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to read this because it was fantastic. You sent me a private message, and you were telling me a lot of details, but what I'll share here with your permission is that you were sharing this big win, and you said, because of you, I now recognize when I'm mucking shit up and sabotaging myself. I just want you to know that you have and still make such an impact on how I handle my self-talk. So this was after you left my coaching program, and you just sent me this random message on a Saturday. I was like at brunch. It's the greatest message to get ever, right? That I've made such an impact on how you handle your self-talk. Can you tell everybody a little bit about that, whatever you're willing to share?
Yeah, absolutely. Because working with you for those weeks that I did in your program, it helped me develop better habits on how I recognize when I'm mucking shit up. So there's a couple things that I have a tendency to do is I get really excited about things. I dive in, and then when the time comes to actually take action, I can talk myself out of anything I'm darn good. I should have been a lawyer is what I should have been. I can talk people into anything, and I can talk myself out of anything. Gotcha. I've started to recognize that when I get to that certain level of something successful or potentially successful could happen, I tell myself the 100 reasons on why it's not going to work and why I shouldn't bother doing it. But because of working with you, I'm now able to kind of not necessarily, I don't want to use the terms weigh the pros and cons, because it's more of, okay, why am I thinking that it's not going to work? What's really happening here? So now I kind of approach things a little bit more systematically instead of just jumping to, I'm not going to do that. That's not going to work. It's not going to work. Now I say, okay, why am I thinking it's not going to work?
Right.
What's the excuse that I'm really using? And is it really not going to work because it's not going to work, or is that just an excuse to not kind of move out of my comfort zone a little bit?
Right, because Hilda and you have this repartee where you're about to do something big. Hilda says it's not going to work. And then you go out and find evidence that she's right. Like that's been your habit up until now, right?
Yep.
It's not going to work. Let me prove you right. Let me find all the excuses of the reasons it's not going to work, or it's going to be hard, or it's going to be whatever. Instead of, working on the thing, we're going to spend our time and energy on why it's not going to work. But now you're no longer as afraid. Maybe you still have some fear, but you're no longer as afraid of being successful. Like one of the things about you, Desiree, is it's not you're terrified you're going to fail. You failed before, you've lived, you dusted yourself off, you get back up, fall down 7, get up 8, whatever. It's that this might be the next Oprah I'm talking to, people. Yeah. I could be ridiculously successful.
Yeah.
So I need to figure out how this fails quick because that's scary as hell, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you know what? Sometimes I don't even look to see how it's going to fail. I find something to distract myself with. Yeah. Like, this could be really good. Let me go get involved in 10 other things so I don't necessarily have to focus on this. That's the other thing that I have a tendency of doing too. And so I noticed, and one of the things that you even said to me was, I forget you had said, is this really the new direction you want to take, or is it a distraction? And I was like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Which is it? Is this really a new step, or is it a distraction? And a couple times it has just been a distraction. So I stopped myself and go, you know what? Put a pin in it. And, I'll check it out later, see how I still feel about that maybe in 3 to 6 months. And then other times it was a realization that, no, I'm done with that, and it's time to move on.
Yeah, I agree. Somebody in the audience says, I love your honesty, Desiree. It makes me think about how I use my own self-talk. And then somebody else says, I love your honesty. It really resonates. I agree, you guys. It's really important to get honest with yourself. So Desiree's being honest right here, and she was honest in our group, but honest to goodness, it's all about talking to yourself and catching yourself when you're spiraling like that. Because Hilda wants to go down this what if rabbit hole of what if it fails, what if it fails, what if it fails. And what you're doing is you're calling around and say, okay, we'll spend a couple minutes on that, but let's also spend equal time on what if it succeeds. And then the other piece about the shiny objects. Well, the shiny objects are always exciting. You have an I don't want a Hilda. So I don't want a Hilda loves to start new things with zero intention of following all the way through.
Yeah.
And so you feel productive if you're doing something, and if it's new and exciting, then it feels productive and motivating. Double score. But if I never cross a finish line, I don't actually make it to the big picture goals that I really want. And by checking your self-talk, you're getting closer and closer to the next big picture thing you want. And you're able to say, okay, this is a distraction, or this is something I want to do, but it's got to wait.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's big, because that was a realization. I mean, I turned 40 this year. I've been doing that my whole life, as far as letting myself be distracted for fear that it might be successful.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge because, like you said, lots of people fear the failure. I'm one of those that I know if I were to stick with something long enough, it could be really, really good. And I think that's scary to me.
I agree. And I think most of the people that work through this program realize that conquering the fear of failure is just step 1, but step 87 is conquering the fear of success. Because you don't get into business, online business of any sort, or direct selling, or any of these businesses without a passion and a desire to make it big, whatever big looks like for you. And for you, it's very specific. I mean, you are the greatest interviewer ever, and I'm over here interviewing you. It's so nerve-wracking. Hilda's losing her mind. But yeah, it's really scary to lean into that success, but deciding this is what you want and deciding to go for it really helps you call to question all of that negative self-talk that holds you back, or has held you back for the first 40 years of your life.
Yeah.
So I love
Yeah,
that.
it's pretty darn exciting.
It is exciting. So you were in the Get Out of Your Own Way coaching program. Tell everybody a little bit about what you were able to do with your career and your business since participating in my program.
Well, since participating, and this is probably going to sound what's the word I'm looking for? Counteractive to what people might do when they join your program. I joined your program looking to take my coaching business to the next level. Mm-hmm. I was ready to, start earning enough that I didn't have to worry about going to get a job, all that kind of thing. What your program actually helped me realize to do was that I was not in love with my coaching business. And that's the reason why I wasn't excited about it anymore. Not that I had found something else shiny. I just wasn't in love with where I was going. So you actually helped me realize that I needed to focus on what my strengths had been prior to coaching and what I really loved doing. And I was actually able to pluck out the pieces. What do I love about my coaching business that I can maybe use elsewhere? And so that's really what I got the most out of working with that program. Was it really helped me realize I wasn't focusing on my strengths. I was focusing on what I had because that's what I thought I was supposed to be doing. Well, here I started this business and I don't ever finish anything, so I've got to stick with it. And it was actually causing me to be depressed because I wasn't in love with it. I was in a bad relationship with my business.
It's so true. What is the economics idea of sunk costs, right? Because you've spent all this time and energy and money and sweat and blood and tears into this coaching practice. That has to be the thing that you want forever, right? Like this has to be the thing. And because you showed up, like you said, I don't finish anything. So abandoning that would be the worst possible thing. So we wrote you a permission slip of, here's a permission slip. What if what you want isn't that? What might you want? Yeah. And that just blew everything open for you.
Well, and here's what I realized, even after leaving the program, and I don't even know if I told you this. What I realized was I thought my goal of talking to people and making a difference in women's lives, I thought that had to be done through my coaching business. That goal hasn't changed.
Right.
I'm just going to do it in a different way now. And that was exciting because I was like, oh, my goals have changed. I'm 40. Everything's changing, blah, 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 blah. And I had the realization, I was like, the end goal hasn't changed. I'm just going to change how I get there.
Yeah. I love that. I love the fact that you were able to have that huge aha moment that completely redirected everything. And so you were able to figure out, okay, how do I cobble together this next phase and figure that out? And it's really exciting to see you right on the brink of the next level of greatness, but this time doing something you want to do and letting go of what you thought it should look like.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. So tell me, this program, people sign up for it because of business, and they leave ranting and raving about what it did for them personally, right? So I have often talked about myself as like a life coach for business owners, which is a weird way to put it, but it kind of is, right? The biggest pow in this program, the biggest impact that people experience is on the personal side. So tell me what you feel like you learned about yourself throughout Get Out of Your Own Way.
What I learned about myself was probably that I am my own worst enemy. And I've also learned that I'm not horrible at things. Imagine that.
Imagine that.
And that I just have a tendency to focus on what's not going right. So that was really eye-opening because coming from that place of woo-woo and manifesting and positive thoughts, blow your sage, rub your crystals, that kind of thing. It really was, I was just focusing on the wrong things. And that was just big for me. That was just huge. And I was able to apply some of the systems and the methods in the program, like you said, outside of business. I use, here's my situation, that phrase, I use that almost daily in my own self-talk. Okay, here's my situation. Da-da-da-da-da. And commitment.
Yeah, what she's referring to there is every single Tuesday in my program, we have a script that everybody shows up with, and it opens with, here's my situation. It's a way to teach you how to ask for help, and it becomes your own problem-solving script as a way to think about it. I love that. I love the fact that I'm in your brain instead of Hilda there.
Oh, you're in my brain all the time. And you know what's so funny is now I've actually stopped using here's my problem. and I use here's my situation, feels a lot less dramatic.
Right, because a problem says it's wrong. A situation says it is.
It's just something that needs to be dealt with. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was huge for me too. That was a huge takeaway and something that I still use daily.
I love that. I'm so happy about that. Well, I want to tell people a little bit about Get Out of Your Own Way, if I can. So for the folks that are watching this, Desiree participated in my 9-week coaching program called Get Out of Your Own Way. And it's a hybrid program because I wanted people to hit all their different learning styles. It's for the most part, what everybody loves about it, it's a group coaching experience. We meet twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays for 9 weeks. And during those 9 weeks, you have the here's my situation thing she mentioned earlier, which is more complicated, but I explained it to you. It's not that hard. That's every Tuesday. And then on Friday, we have more traditional group coaching conversations. Then there's also a one-on-one component. So you get some FaceTime with me because I want to learn how to be the best Desiree coach there is for the group calls. So I meet with everybody one-on-one early in the process. And then there's also the self-guided portion, which is 9 weeks of videos and a workbook. Do you still have your workbook somewhere?
I actually just reprinted a whole brand new copy because we even talk about this in the group. Sometimes you have to go back. Yeah. And when things change, you have to start over. And I actually redid the whole dreaming exercise just recently. And so nice. I was like, I just need a whole new workbook because things are changing.
Yes, I love that. I'm very proud of that workbook. It's close to 200 pages. It's not, here's a couple worksheets and 20 pages. It's much more in depth. And I don't say that to like brag about the amount of it, but I really want to give you a kitchen sink of every coaching tool I can think of that I have co-created over 12 years of coaching with my clients that I know is going to help you move the needle in your life and your business. So what we're really going to get down to and get out of your own way is if you feel like you're squandering your potential, because you're listening to that voice on your side of your head and you're obeying her every wish, and you're tired of Hilda holding your ambitions hostage. That's what this program is about. It's about teaching you the skills that Desiree is explaining about how it's changed her life and business and how she thinks and how she approaches the world. Now she has situations, not problems, because I've given you a new way to approach things. I don't tell you what to do. This isn't one of those, here's how Jennie does it, and you can go forth and be a mini me. I have no interest in that at all. I work with people that I can't wait to see be more successful than I am. I'm very much a greater than yourself kind of coach. And Desiree is such a great example of that. So if there was somebody, Desiree, put you on the spot here. There was somebody out there who's hemming and hawing over calling me and booking that first call with me, because that's what you need to do. Here, I'll put the link up. That's what you need to do to get started. It's scary to reach out and call me. Not because I'm scary. It's maybe the hair is scary. I don't know. But it's scary to kind of face this and say, okay, I'm ready to talk to this woman and talk about it. What would you say to somebody to get them off the fence and book that call?
Well, you know what? First of all, I would be honest with people and say that I stalked you for, I think, over a year before I booked that first call with you. And booking that first call was scary because I knew that I was going to get uncomfortable. But honestly, it was either I was kind of at the point of, okay, something's got to give. I cannot keep doing this to myself. And that's when it was one of those moments of, this has got to be for me. I'm going to book this call because I'm now recognizing that I need a little help and I need some support. And I think, spending that time with you on the very first call was it confirmed what I wanted for myself. Yeah. And that was huge because, I'm one of those that want to help everybody else and I really get caught up in what everybody else needs and wants. And it was an eye opener that it's okay that I work on me and what I want out of my business. And that was just huge. And so anybody who feels like they're kind of at that level of, okay, I know that I can do better than this, or I know that there's nothing wrong with me, but I need to figure out how to get to the next level. They gotta book it. Just hit, submit, and do it. It's one of those, and then cry about it later.
No, I love that. Well, I got this feedback the other day that one of the reasons that people don't book the call with a coach is they're terrified of like, okay, I'm going to listen to you, and what if I really love you and I can't afford you? So I also want to address that head on for anybody out there that's concerned about that. My prices are published on my website. They're completely transparent. The 9-week program is $900 or 2 payments of $500 if that's easier for your wallet. And that includes everything that I mentioned. So I say that because I think a lot of people, again, going back to the bad coaching experiences we've talked about before, you know, we have been told by the coaching god somewhere that we're never supposed to say what our prices are. We're supposed to charge you $10,000 for every 5 minutes. And it's supposed to be the most expensive thing in the world. Whereas I work with people who are squandering their potential. And I want to make this as accessible as possible so that I can work with more people and help you get out of your own way so that you can go on and change the world. Everybody I work with, like Desiree, like Monica, like all of the folks in this series, are people who are sitting on a ton of power and potential. They're sitting on the ability to make such a big difference for the people that they want to serve. And Desiree specifically wants to help women feel empowered in business. I shouldn't say she wants to because she already does this. This is what she does. She helps women who are terrified of saying, but I've never been a businesswoman, figure out how to do that. And if I can help you, Desiree, get out of your way and shorten the amount of time that Hilda keeps you in that, oh, how's this going to fail mindset, then you're going to go forth and help more of those women. And that ripple effect is really what drives me every single day. So I wanted to say that as well. So if you're over there thinking, well, I want to book this call, but it's another coach, he's going to charge me thousands of dollars. I'm not going to make a pitch. There's no secret, whatever. That's the price. The price is the price is the price. So that's important. Okay, so thank you, Desiree, so much for this. Now, you know, obviously, if you want to book a call with me and get out of your own way, go to bit.ly/meet Coach Jennie, all lowercase. But if we want to connect with you, Desiree, where should we head?
I'm in the process of building out a brand new everything Desiree. If you visit DesireeWolfe.com within the next couple months, it's going to be a beautiful new site with lots of things, and you'll be able to learn more about the upcoming podcast on that website as well. So
I love that. We'll put that in the show notes and in the comments below. Desiree, you know, I've been thanking you profusely because it means so much to me for you to take the time to do this. But I'm going to thank you one more time publicly for taking the time to share your story with everybody. Working with you is an absolute dream, and I'm so excited to see what you do next.
Well, thank you. And thank you for everything that you do. It's just really made an impact on just not only how I approach business, but how I'm approaching myself. And that's been huge. So thank you.
Thank you for that. I love it. All right, friends, thank you for participating in this. If you have any questions for me, you know how to reach me. And until next time, see you soon.